Hey guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, you're really welcome. My name's Laura, and this video is a really jam-packed video full of all my top tips for medical school interviews. These are all the top tips that I used when preparing for my MMIs, and they helped me secure all the offers after my medical school interviews. So well done to any of you that have already got interviews, and I hope these top tips will help you secure all your offers too. Later in this video, I'll be announcing some really exciting news, so stay tuned to hear how you can win a free MMI preparation course. So top tip number 1 is start now. Preparation is really key to start early, and it is really easy to often overlook when your medical school interview might not be for a couple of months' time. But there are quite a lot of things you need to be aware of, which I will talk about later in this video, and it is important that you do start preparing earlier than you might think. It can be hard to juggle with all the other things that you're doing, like A-levels or extracurricular activities or a job, but it is really important to help you get on the right track really early and get you more confident with the question styles and types that are available for you to make use of and prepare with. So by watching this video, you are on the right track. So top tip number 2, are your interviews in person or online? It's really important that you're aware of which type of interview style your university is choosing this year. Some universities really like using the online style, which they kind of developed over COVID, and some have stuck with it as it allows a wider access from people all over the globe so that you don't have to commute and travel. However, it does come with a few disadvantages. You may want to check that your internet speed is capable of being able to be on a call like that for that period of time, and also you may need to invest in a webcam to make sure that you can be seen and be heard effectively on your interviews. Some unis this year have reverted back to the pre-pandemic way of doing interviews, which is the full MMI style, which if you're not sure what MMI means, it's simply multi-mini interviews, and it means that you go to a venue such as the university campus and you go into a hall or a room that they've set up, and it will be split up into different sections and styles of questions, and there's usually about 10 different scenarios you're given, and this means that you rotate around each station, answer all the questions, but you're face-to-face with an examiner. In-person comes with some advantages and disadvantages, and it's important to be aware that if you are in person, you will need to book things like flights and accommodation potentially, and this can also mean that it takes more time out of your day to go to this venue to sit your in-person interview. However, some people really enjoy this, and personally this is the way I did my interviews, and I found it really helpful because it meant that you could see the campus, you could get to know the sort of surroundings that you may wish to study at the medical school, and it also gave you a chance to sort of compare yourself to how other people were feeling and just gave you a bit more of a camaraderie as you all did the MMIs together. So definitely do check emails or websites of your medical schools to make sure that you're aware if you're online or in person and to be well prepared for either of these. So top tip number 3, and this is get a group of you together to start practicing your questions. This can be with friends or family, or it could even be with purchasing an online platform. This top tip was one that really helped me when preparing for my interviews, as it allowed me to see what my body language was like, get criticism from other people, and really understand how I felt in a scenario where I kind of squirmed a bit or I wasn't so sure of how to answer a question. This top tip is one that I would highly recommend starting early on and to continue the whole way through your preparation for your medical school interview. It's quite difficult to understand how you naturally would cope in a situation like being asked a question that you're not 100% sure how to answer unless you've practiced in advance. This is a game changer for most people, and if you talk to anyone like I did prior to my interviews, they would say this is one of the top tips that really changed how they answered questions and how confident and happy they felt going into the real MMIs. Get people to honestly critique you and pick up on things like your body language, if you squirm or if you're constantly shaking or if you do random movements that you're not even aware of. If you use things like slang with words such as like or and or extra things that just don't need to be there. They can also help you remove bad habits like twisting your hair or rocking in your seat or just looking a bit unprofessional. These little hints and tips that they pick up on that you might not even be aware of make such a difference to you when you go into your interview for real. So now for some really, really exciting news, and that is that MedicMind and I are collaborating to offer one of you guys the chance to win an exclusive place on one of their MMI preparation courses. These courses are an amazing opportunity to allow you the chance to understand more about how MMIs work and get feedback from real examiners from medical schools across the UK. This course involves you completing a full MMI circuit with 10 stations and different role play and real life hot topics like COVID-19 and the NHS. They also teach you about medical ethics and more on things like data interpretation and other techniques you'll need to know for interviews. This is an amazing opportunity and is totally free for one of you guys to win. All you have to do is simply like this video, subscribe down below, and then leave a comment in the comment section about what you want to see me make a video on next. Winners will be randomly selected and you'll find out on my Instagram and also on YouTube. So make sure that you're in with a chance of winning and keep a check on your YouTube account and also on your Instagram to find out if you've been lucky enough to be selected for this amazing opportunity with the MedicMind preparation for your interviews. For any more details about this giveaway, check out the description down below and also check out the links I've included for more of MedicMind's courses and things to help you prepare for your medical school interviews. So on to tip number 4, and this is gather as many pieces of interview knowledge that you can from absolutely anywhere. I found that asking people from years above or checking out other YouTube videos or lots of different pieces of information on different websites was super helpful, especially if you're trying to find niche different questions that commonly come up at interviews. Make sure to check out the rest of my channel because I've actually made loads of interview videos about the interview questions I got asked at all of my interviews. So make sure to check these out if you're wondering what common questions come up at MMIs. I found it really useful to compile a list of all the questions I found and just jot down a couple of different things I might say if I got asked them in real life. So next up is tip number 5. This is read your personal statement back to front, inside out, and know it like the back of your hand. It is so important that you know everything in your personal statement and are able to easily talk about it and very naturally as well. They commonly ask things about different parts of your personal statement, and as I've mentioned before, I've made some videos about these, but it's really important that you're able to answer these very specifically and accurately. You don't want to be waffling and trying to think of things on the spot, so do read over your personal statement before going into your interviews and have a couple of key things that you think they could ask about. For me, I got asked about 2 questions per medical school interview I went to, and that's quite a lot. I think that works out at about 1/5 of all the questions I was asked, so do reread your personal statement before the day of your interviews. So tip number 6, and that is keep up to date with things around you. Watch the news, read things like the BMJ, just be aware of lots of things that are happening in the global and national level around the time of your interviews. They love to ask very topical questions like hot topics on COVID or the NHS, junior doctor pay and strikes, and different things that might kind of trip you up if you're not keeping on top of the news and things that are happening around you. They love to see that you're able to think outside the box and to use things like the World Health Organization or the GMC or other sort of key areas that medical professionals should be aware of will really help you stand out from the crowd at interview. You may also wish to think about things slightly outside of the field of medicine, like how climate change affects the healthcare service and how energy poverty and poverty in general can affect healthcare and potentially your future patients. So tip number 7, this is to prepare your answers prior to your interviews. Now, this comes with a warning and a full disclaimer. Do not rote learn your answers and then regurgitate them like a robot, as this shows no personality, no passion, and no skill for a medical professional. However, I would say that it is important to be aware of things you might want to talk about, little things that you think are important to you and why you should do medicine, as these personal questions, when you get asked, can be really hard to think of on the spot. I found pre-preparing very loosely different things about me and why I should study medicine and become a doctor made me feel quite confident and relaxed and easy to speak about whenever I was asked these style of questions. They do really like to ask about why you should be picked to study medicine, and you don't want to undersell yourself. You want to sound confident, but you don't also want to sound big-headed and boastful. But do remember, you are competing against everyone else for a finite number of medical school places, so definitely do not undersell yourself. So whatever you do, don't learn off answers, but have a fair idea of things you might want to bring up that are very important to you and why you wish to study medicine. And make sure that you sound enthusiastic, passionate, and really just happy and confident in everything you speak about. So tip number 8 now, and that is practice roleplay scenarios. Roleplays are things that medical schools love to include. They're not done by every medical school, but for all the medical schools that I had interviews with, they used roleplay scenarios. These are basically real life actors that sit in the room with you and give you sort of a hard time, to be honest, because they want to see how you react under pressure and interact with potentially future patients. They can be really basic, like pretending to be your granny, or they can be quite a bit complex and they could potentially need your help because they're blind, they're deaf, or potentially they've got an issue and they really want to speak to you about it as a medical. So tip number 9, and that is read up on the GMC. GMC stands for General Medical Council, and when I say read, I just mean skim read. I'll leave the link in the description down below, and basically it talks about all the good ways that medical professionals should act, and you should be aware of the 4 pillars of ethics, which are vital for medical school interviews. They also will include a lot of other things like how good medical practice is and other hot topics that you might want to be aware of, but I would highly recommend reading up on the GMC if you haven't done so already. Medical school interviewers love to ask questions about it, so make sure you've read up on it and just have a bit of an idea of what it is. So finally, tip number 10, and this is pick a sensible outfit. I always say it's comfort over style, but actually for medical school interviews, I do make an allowance, and it might be worthwhile going outside of your general wardrobe and maybe investing in a smarter outfit. A lot of the guys that I saw whenever I was at medical school interviews wore chinos or dark trousers. They put on a smart pair of shoes and a shirt, and some put on a blazer or a smart jumper. And for the girls, a lot of people chose to wear skirts or trousers. It really didn't matter, but they were smart. They weren't too like colorful or patterned. And then they would have had either pumps or some boots. Some wore heels. And then I personally wore like a blazer on top just to make sure that you look smart and professional. So those are my 10 top tips for medical school interviews. And I hope they were really useful because they really helped me secure all my offers after my interviews. So I hope all goes really well for you, and if you have any questions, please put them in the comment section down below. Make sure to get in with the chance to win that competition that I was talking about earlier from MedicMind, the giveaway for a free place on their interview course. Just like this video, subscribe, and leave a comment of what you would like to see me make a video on next. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Good luck, all the best, and see you next time. Bye!